Indianapolis Colts versus Cincinnati Bengals. Week 3 of the NFL preseason is underway as a pair of AFC squads clash on the gridiron in the Buckeye State as the Indianapolis Colts travel to take on the Cincinnati Bengals Saturday night. And Indianapolis was down 23-19 at home by Green Bay in their previous contest last Saturday, losing outright as a 6-point favorite. Cincinnati dropped Washington 31-17 on the road Monday night, covering the line as a 4-point favorite. In the all-time regular season series between the teams, the Colts own an 18-13 advantage, though the Bengals picked up a 34-14 home win in the most recent meeting on December 10, 2023. Indianapolis took a 27-14 road win in the most recent preseason clash August 22, 2024. Indianapolis couldn't maintain a fast start in their game against the Packers as they surrendered the winning score with just 1:31 remaining in regulation. The Colts dropped to 0-2 in the preseason with the loss and hope to close the exhibition season on a positive note. Against Green Bay, Indianapolis scored the game's first 13 points and led 13-3 at the half. The Colts took their last lead at 19-16 with 6:38 remaining, only to allow the Packers to drive 68 yards in 13 plays en route to the winning touchdown. Indianapolis owned a narrow 360-356 edge in total offense and forced the game's lone turnover. Those numbers were offset as they were beaten 24-22 in first downs while losing time of possession by a 32-18 to 27-42 margin. Coach Shane Steichen announced earlier this week that none of the team's starters would take the field in this contest. Daniel Jones, who was named the starting quarterback Tuesday, leads the team in passing as he is 17 of 32 for 245 yards. Anthony Richardson Sr., 8 of 14, 94 yards, 9 rush yards, is in a tenuous situation as his agent had some remarks after Jones was named the starter. Riley Leonard, 19 of 36, 156 yards, INT, 44 rush yards. And Jason Bean, 3 of 7, 37 yards, will see action here. Tyler Goodson, 6 carries, 21 yards, touchdown. Khalil Herbert, 7 carries, 29 yards, touchdown. DJ Giddens, 12 carries, 45 yards. And Ulysses Bentley a 14 carries, 62 yards. Each will try to carve out a spot behind Jonathan Taylor. Ashton Doolin, 4 receptions, 72 yards. Coleman Owen, 8 catches, 64 yards. Anthony Gould, 5 grabs, 42 yards. Aju, 4 receptions, 27 yards. And Laquan Treadwell, catch 24 yards, are trying to lock down a spot in the receiver room. Drew Ogletree, 3 catches, 35 yards. And Will Mallory, 2 grabs, 26 yards, may be battling for one tight end spot. Cincinnati bounced back from a loss on the road at Philadelphia as they downed Washington on the road Monday night. The Bengals evened their preseason mark at 1-1 and look to make it 2 straight wins to close preseason on a positive note. Against Washington, Cincinnati scored the opening touchdown only to trail 14-7 after the first quarter. The Bengals outscored Washington 21-0 in the second quarter to lead 28-14 at the half, and didn't let Washington closer than 11 the rest of the way. Cincinnati owned a 293-270 advantage in total offense, rolled up a 24-14 edge in first downs, dominated time of possession by a 37-19 to 22-41 margin, and forced the game's 2 turnovers. Much like the Colts, Coach Zach Taylor stated Wednesday that the Bengals starters will not see the field in this contest. With no Joe Burrow, 18 of 24, 185 yards, 3 touchdowns, expect to see Jake Browning, 22 of 39, 221 yards, 2 TD, INT, and Desmond Ridder, 8 of 17, 98 yards, TD, under center. Rookie Peyton Thorne may get action as well. Chase Brown, 10 carries, 39 yards, touchdown. Won't see action, so look for Taj Brooks, 21 carries, 73 yards. Kendall Milton, 9 carries, 22 yards. And potentially Gary Brightwell, carry 3 yards as they try to earn a spot. As far as receivers go, Mitchell Tinsley, 6 catches, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. Charlie Jones, 7 grabs, 73 yards, touchdown. Kendrick Pryor, 3 catches, 35 yards, and Rashod Owens, 2 receptions, 13 yards, are all looking to make an impact. One area the Bengals are dealing with depth concerns is on the offensive line. Cordell Volson injured his shoulder last week and is expected to undergo surgery that could keep him out for the year. Given the Bengals' issues protecting Burrow last season, that is something that needs to be monitored. We've got a pair of teams that will be playing no one that they expect to lean on in a heavy role this season. Indianapolis hasn't looked overly impressive in their 2 preseason games, and with unproven commodities in Leonard and Bean under center, you can't be overly excited about them here. Cincinnati put up 27 on Philadelphia and 31 on Washington. With veteran backup quarterbacks and home field edge, the Bengals hold the advantage. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Cincinnati Bengals, minus 2.5. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Houston Texans versus Detroit Lions. The Houston Texans visit the Motor City on Saturday to play the Detroit Lions in the final game of the NFL preseason. For both teams, Houston is 1-1 through 2 preseason games. Houston opened its preseason with a 20-10 loss to the Minnesota Vikings, followed by a 20-3 victory over the Carolina Panthers. Detroit is 1-2 in the preseason, opening with a 34-7 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers, followed by a 17-10 victory over Atlanta and a 24-17 loss to Miami. Injuries will not play a role in this matchup, as backups will play the vast majority for both teams in the final game of the preseason. C.J. Stroud will start at quarterback for Houston in Week 1 of the regular season and be backed up by Davis Mills. But Keaton Slovis and Graham Mertz are battling for the 3rd quarterback spot. The Houston Texans have had 4 major position battles during the preseason. At wide receiver, Houston is expected to keep 6. Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, Jalen Noel, and Jaden Higgins are assured of WR positions, while Braxton Berrios, Xavier Hutchinson, and Justin Watson are battling for the other 2 spots. At running back, Houston is likely to keep 4, with Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, and Woody Marks holding down the top 3 spots, while Damian Pierce, Dare Ogunbowale, Jahar Jordan, and J.J. Taylor battle it out for the final spot. At linebacker, Houston will keep 5, possibly 6 players. Azeez Al-Shaair, Henry To'oTo'o, and Christian Harris are the starters, while E.J. Speed, Jake Hansen, Jamal Hill, and Nick Neiman battle for the 2 remaining spots. The injury status of Christian Harris is still up in the air and could give the Texans problems with deciding how many backers to keep. On the offensive line, Houston will keep 9 players with 5 already locked into their positions. The remaining 4 spots are being battled for by Jarrett Patterson, Ed Ingram, Juice Scruggs, Blake Fisher, Zach Thomas, and Ladarius Henderson. The Detroit Lions will open the regular season with Jared Goff as their starting quarterback, but the backup quarterback position is still up in the air. Kyle Allen appears to have taken a lead over Hendon Hooker in the battle for backup quarterback. Depending upon how both Allen and Hooker perform on Saturday versus Houston, one will become the backup and the other will be 3rd string. Sione Vaki impressed in his debut at running back versus Miami last week, but is still battling for the number 4th running back spot. Jacob Sailors has played well on special teams, but Saki is the front runner to take the number 4th round bye spot and see time on special teams. At wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams are the top 2. Isaac Tesla has had an excellent preseason and is likely to grab the 3rd spot, while Khalif Raymond and Tim Patrick are likely to round out the top 5. If Detroit keeps 6 receivers, then Dominic Lovett, Jackson Meeks, and Ronnie Bell will all battle for that final spot. On the other side of the line of scrimmage, Detroit has a defensive end battle for the 3rd and 4th spots. Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport are the top 2, while Alquadin Muhammad, Nate Lynn, Ahmed Hassanin, Keith Cooper, and Mitchell Agood are battling for the 3rd and 4th spots. The top 4 linebackers are locked into place, but Zach Cunningham, Trevor Nowaks, and Anthony Pittman are battling for reserve roles. The Houston Texans are not likely to play many of their starters in the final preseason game on the road against the Detroit Lions. The Lions are not playing their starters, as the current coaching staff under head coach Dan Campbell is well known for not risking the health of their starters during the preseason. Many NFL teams use the joint practices they hold with other teams during the week for their starters to see game-like action. Houston has a 3rd-string quarterback battle underway, while Detroit's backup QB position is still unsettled between Kyle Allen and Hendon Hooker. Those competitions should create plenty of urgency, as both coaching staffs want to see which signal callers can handle live reps and situational football. The QB battles for both teams could produce strong offensive displays if the young arms get into rhythm, or conversely could force mistakes that opportunistic defenses will take advantage of. Houston has quietly been one of the better preseason road teams, going 6-3 straight up and against the spread in its last 9 such contests, showing they're usually prepared and motivated in exhibition play. On the other hand, Detroit head coach Dan Campbell is 7-10 against the spread in the last 17 preseason games, which suggests his emphasis has been more on player evaluation and physicality rather than scoreboard results. Both teams are sorting out depth chart questions, making this a volatile matchup and an intriguing betting spot. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Houston Texans money line. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Seattle Seahawks versus Green Bay Packers. NFL preseason action on Saturday at Lambeau Field. The Packers are 2.5-point spread favorites, and the game total is 37 points scored, as Seattle aims to finish the preseason without a loss, and Green Bay looks to secure a winning record. The Seattle Seahawks went 10-7 last season, finishing second in the NFC West Division. While it was an improvement from their previous 2 seasons, they missed the postseason again, as the strength of victory tiebreak went to the LA Rams. Seattle struggled at home last season, 3-6, but was an impressive 7-1 on the road, showing resilience in hostile environments. This year, the Seahawks will feature several new faces, as quarterback Sam Darnold replaces Geno Smith, and wide receivers Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are no longer with the team. Their absence creates questions about who will step up as reliable playmakers, while the defense looks to build continuity and carry more responsibility as the offense adjusts to a new identity. Seattle tied Las Vegas 23-23 in its preseason opener and beat Kansas City 33-16 last week. They outgained the Chiefs 477-156 in total yards, passing for 209 and rushing for a whopping 268 on 48 attempts. 5.6 yards per carry. Their domination on the ground allowed them to eat up the game clock as they held the football for 17 more minutes than KC. The offensive line deserves credit for creating consistent rushing lanes, while the depth in Seattle's backfield showed its value with multiple runners contributing big plays. The defensive front also played a role by keeping Kansas City's offense in check, allowing the Seahawks to control both tempo and momentum throughout the game. The backs ran really hard. Head coach Mike McDonald said, "Every back today I thought ran the ball hard, and going forward, how we finish plays, I can't wait to watch it." The Green Bay Packers finished 11-6 last season, improving on their 9-8 record in the 2023-24 campaign. They placed third in a stacked NFC North division, but still managed to reach the wild card round of the NFL playoffs, where they became the first domino toppled in Philadelphia's march toward the Super Bowl, with quarterback Jordan Love showing steady growth in his second year as the starter, and the addition of running back Josh Jacobs bringing a bruising, versatile element to the backfield. The Packers' offense has the potential to be one of the league's most feared units. Their young wide receiver core continues to mature. The offensive line remains one of the more consistent groups in the NFC, and the defense, anchored by a strong pass rush and improving secondary, gives them balance. While the NFC North is again shaping up to be highly competitive, Green Bay enters the new season with legitimate expectations of not only contending for a playoff spot, but also pushing deeper into January. Green Bay bounced back from its 30-10 loss to the New York Jets in its preseason opener with a 23-19 road win over Indianapolis last week. The Packers trailed 13-3 at the half, but stormed back with 20 second-half points, including 13 in the fourth quarter. Despite being outgained by 4 total yards, losing the turnover battle 1-0, and committing 12 penalties, Green Bay's efficiency in key moments stood out as they went a perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. The comeback was capped by Sean Clifford's 11-yard touchdown run, with 1:31 remaining, showing the coaching staff that the team's depth can execute in pressure situations. While the numbers weren't always clean, the ability to finish drives and respond late bodes well for their younger players, who are still fighting for roster spots. It was a great drive at the end of the game, and he was able to use his legs a little bit on some keepers and was able to get into the end zone, Packers coach Matt LaFleur said of Clifford. These teams were involved in a brawl on Thursday during their joint practice, which should add plenty of fuel and intensity to Saturday's matchup, even if it is preseason. That kind of bad blood often translates into a chippy, competitive game where both sides are more focused on physicality than offensive execution. We shouldn't expect too many starters to take the field, and Green Bay is already banged up at wide receiver, which further limits their ability to sustain drives. The Packers were held to just 3 points in the first half of last week's contest, and with limited playmakers available, it's hard to see a sudden breakout performance, especially against a strong defensive unit. The atmosphere could keep the defenses energized and the game tightly contested, pointing toward a close, low-scoring affair on Saturday in Green Bay, where both teams' recent struggles to generate consistent offense make the under the sharper lean. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Seahawks minus 2.5. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Buffalo Bills versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buffalo Bills will be on the road to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the preseason finale for both teams Saturday. With roster cuts approaching, the HBO Hard Knocks cameras present, and both coaching staffs focused on depth evaluation and roster battles. This one should be a lot of fun. Todd Bowles has confirmed all Buccaneers starters will rest, while Buffalo is also set to rotate heavily after last week's 38-0 loss to Chicago. This matchup serves as a last audition for rookies, backups, and bubble players looking to secure roster spots. The Buffalo Bills enter the final preseason game at 0-2, having dropped their first 2 contests against the Giants and Bears, with the latter being a lopsided 38-0 defeat where the starters were rested. The Bills' coaching staff, led by Sean McDermott, is prioritizing evaluation, with several final roster spots up for grabs. Reigning NFL MVP, Josh Allen has sat out the entire preseason, leaving the backup battle primarily between Mitch Trubisky and Mike White, with Shane Buechele and Mike White in the mix for third string. Buffalo's rookie class has been a point of interest, highlighted by corner Maxwell Hairston and defensive tackle TJ Sanders, both of whom are expected to play meaningful snaps in this finale. At running back, preseason rushing duties have been split, but depth options like Frank Gore Jr., team-leading 72 yards on 13 carries, and Ray Davis remain noteworthy. On Hard Knocks, the Bills' embarrassing showing against Chicago ticked off the coaching staff, but also revealed a competitive spirit among rookies and depth pieces aiming for roster spots. In terms of Vegas sports betting expectations, Buffalo's over-under win total sits at 11.5 on BetMGM, while their Super Bowl futures are among the NFL's best at plus 600. The Bills are favored to win the AFC East and are commonly touted as legitimate title contenders. This preseason finale is more about depth and resilience than win or loss. Look for young receivers Tyrell Shavers and Laviska Shenault Jr. and new faces in the secondary to make their case. Tampa Bay has impressed, sitting at 2-0 after preseason wins over the Titans 29-7 and Steelers 17-14. Head coach Todd Bowles has opted to rest all starters against Buffalo, shifting the focus squarely onto young talent and roster battles. The Buccaneers' quarterback depth chart features Baker Mayfield as the locked-in starter, with Kyle Trask, Teddy Bridgewater, and Connor Bazelak, a rookie out of Bowling Green, behind him. In the backfield, Bucky Irving and Rachaad White are expected to rest, leaving Owen Wright, who leads the team with 127 preseason rushing yards, and Sean Tucker, 17 carries for 56 yards, to prove their value. In the passing game, expect young players such as wide receiver Jalen McMillan and tight end Devin Culp to see extended action while the veterans rest. A major storyline is the status of undrafted safety Shiloh Sanders. Sanders impressed in his debut with a key tackle and quarterback hit, but stumbled in Week 2 against Pittsburgh, missing assignments and struggling in coverage. With injuries thinning Tampa's defensive backfield, Sanders now gets a vital audition in the finale, needing a standout performance to secure a roster spot. Tampa Bay's win total is set between 7.5 and 8.5 at BetMGM and ESPN Bet. with their Super Bowl odds listed as long shots plus 6,000 to plus 7,500. Still, the Bucs have looked sharp this preseason and will use this contest primarily for player development rather than a scheme preview, giving opportunities to younger players and testing depth across multiple positions. After being embarrassed 38-0 and blasted by their coaches on Hard Knocks, the Bills enter this matchup as favorites against a Buccaneers team that has every reason to feel confident. Still, it's tough to trust Buffalo right now. They've looked uninspired and have been shredded for a league-worst 462 yards per game in the preseason, with repeated breakdowns in coverage and pass protection raising serious concerns. Even if the Bills show more energy than they did against Chicago, Tampa Bay has looked sharp throughout the preseason, executing both offensively and defensively with purpose and timing. The Bucs also still have a lot to prove going into the season, with several key players auditioning for roles and showing they can make high-leverage plays. At home, facing a flat Bills squad, I have to back Tampa Bay as an underdog, especially given their ability to move the ball in bursts and capitalize on turnovers. The momentum, energy, and preparation advantage could easily tilt a preseason contest in their favor, making this a compelling pick for bettors looking for value on the points and potentially the run line. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 2.5. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box.